When we think of billionaires, we often picture them as people who were born into wealth or had silver spoons in their mouths. We assume they had connections, advantages, and opportunities that ordinary people like you and me would kill for. But what if I told you there's a multi-millionaire CEO today who was once sleeping in a cardboard box? Yep, you heard it right. In this video, we're going to explore the astonishing rags to riches tale of a remarkable individual who defied all odds and turned his life around to become a successful entrepreneur. So let's dive in and see how he did it. John's early years were tough. His parents couldn't take care of him because they were too busy dealing with their problems. When he was just 2, his father left the family and his mother soon remarried, leaving poor John behind. It seemed like every time John tried to make a connection with someone, things went wrong. He felt like a complete outsider. At school, John was a good student, but he also had a wild streak. He got into fights and stayed out late, which landed him in hot water with the cops and his teachers. He always said what was on his mind without thinking about the consequences. This attitude earned him the nickname Loose Cannon. By the time John was 16, he was already a troubled teen. He got expelled from school after getting into a massive brawl with a teacher who tried to stop him from cheating on an exam. Then came the turning point. One night after drinking heavily, John came home drunk and got into a big fight with his stepfather. In a moment of anger, he grabbed a beer bottle and smashed it on the wall, accidentally hurting his mother. That was the last straw for his stepfather. He called the police and told them to arrest John for assault. Before they arrived, though, John ran away from home. At first, John's mom tried to be supportive. She paid his bail and made sure he didn't end up in jail. But she couldn't control his behavior, so she stopped answering his calls and blocked him on social media. Suddenly, John was completely alone. He couldn't go back to school since he'd been kicked out. So he dropped out altogether and moved onto the streets. As winter approached, the cold weather made things even harder for John. Most days, he slept in parks or under overpasses, trying to stay warm. Food was scarce, and he often went hungry. Things took a turn for the worse when John got sick. He felt awful, and his immune system, which was already weak from all the stress, couldn't handle it. Soon, he was bedridden. Fortunately, some kind people found him and took him to a nearby hospital where doctors gave him medicine and helped him recover. After John got discharged from the hospital, he reached out to his mom again, hoping she could help him get back on his feet. But she wasn't interested. In fact, she told him she was worried he might hurt her again and suggested he try to make something of himself on his own. Once again, John was on his own. Thankfully, at the hospital, John had met a nurse named Sarah who worked at a local homeless shelter. When she heard his story, she offered to help him get off the streets. Sarah took John to the shelter, fed him, and gave him a place to sleep. But John was embarrassed to be there. He wanted to prove to everyone that he didn't need their help, so he left the shelter as soon as he could and went back to living on the street. Meanwhile, Sarah couldn't stand seeing John struggle. Every day she brought him food and made sure he had what he needed to survive. Despite her efforts, John still preferred to live on the streets rather than accept help. He thought staying outdoors was the only way to truly be free. Then one day, everything changed. An employee from the homeless shelter visited John on the street and offered him a deal. He told John he knew he was capable of more than surviving on the streets and urged him to return to the shelter. He promised John that if he accepted help, the shelter staff would assist him in finding a job and getting his life back on track. John hesitated, torn between his desire for independence and the prospect of a better life. But deep down, he knew he couldn't keep going like this. So he decided to take the shelter's offer and move back in. From the moment he returned, the shelter staff worked tirelessly to help John rebuild his life. They provided him with counseling, job training, and a supportive network, that made him feel valued and hopeful. John began attending therapy sessions where he finally confronted the trauma of his past. He realized that his difficult childhood had left him feeling unloved and angry, which had led him down a destructive path. Therapy helped him understand these patterns and develop healthier coping mechanisms. But John knew that to really change his life, he needed to focus on his future. With the support of the shelter staff, he signed up for computer programming classes and started learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. He spent hours in the library studying and working on coding projects. It was tough, but John was determined to succeed. Finally, after months of hard work, John finished the course and got a certificate in web development. Feeling confident, he started applying for jobs. However, he soon hit another obstacle. No one would hire him. Every time he went for an interview, he was turned down because of his lack of experience. Discouraged, but not defeated, John went back to the shelter and confided in Sarah. She listened to his problems and told him not to give up. Then Sarah shared some good news. A friend of hers owned a small business and needed help with their website. She asked John if he could take on the project and give it his best shot. Without hesitation, John accepted the challenge. He poured all his energy into creating a fantastic new site for the business. After its launch, it quickly became clear that John's work had made a positive impact. More customers were visiting the site and the business was booming. News of John's success spread, and soon other companies were reaching out to him for web design projects. To manage his growing workload, John hired a couple of friends from the shelter to help him. Seeing his former peers finding success motivated them to pursue their own dreams. Together, they formed a tight-knit team and delivered exceptional results for their clients. Although John was making progress, he knew he needed to take a leap of faith to achieve his ultimate goal. He wanted to work for a Fortune 500 company. So he applied for a junior developer position at a major tech firm. John was thrilled when he got the job. Finally, he could put his skills to the test in a high-pressure environment, but he soon realized it wouldn't be easy. At first, his co-workers were kind, but after they learned about his past, they started treating him differently. They teased him mercilessly and even called him names like Cardboard King. Even though John was upset, he didn't complain. Instead, he focused on proving them wrong. He worked overtime, solved complex problems, and impressed his boss with his dedication and talent. One day, a senior executive noticed John's hard work and decided to mentor him. Recognizing John's potential, the executive took him under his wing and taught him the secrets of success in the corporate world. Under his guidance, John excelled in his work and gained respect from his colleagues. He also developed valuable skills in leadership and management, preparing him for greater responsibilities. As John climbed the corporate ladder, he never forgot the struggles he'd endured. He used his experience to help others and became a champion for those facing homelessness. Whenever he could, he donated money and resources to the shelter that had given him a second chance. He also volunteered his time to mentor young people, sharing his story to inspire them to follow their dreams. Today, John stands as a shining example of resilience and determination. He's no longer the cardboard king, but a respected CEO of a successful tech company. His journey from living in a cardboard box to leading a multi-million-dollar enterprise is a testament to his grit and tenacity. And remember, no matter how rough the road may seem, with hard work, dedication, and a refusal to give up, you can rewrite your own story. So if you're facing challenges in your life, draw inspiration from John's journey and keep moving forward. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more amazing stories. Thanks for watching.